Story time. Let's get ready to hear. Growing up wasn't always fun for me. I had a weird sort of childhood, so to speak. And I felt like as a kid, I had to grow up much sooner than I should have been at that time. I think I'm just gonna just keep this video rolling. I might not cut this video, but yeah. So right there, that's me when I was one. I was 1 year old on this picture. Yeah, I was one. And this is my cousin. But yeah, I was one on this picture. I was a fat baby. Anyway, so yeah, I felt like I had to grow up much sooner than I should have. I remember at such a very early age, like 5 or 6 years old, I was abused by my siblings' father. My mom has 4 children. I'm the oldest, and the 3 after me all share the same dad. You will find that out if you go watch my Get to Know Me video. I'll put the link in the description if you have not seen it and would like to. I mentioned a little bit about it in there, but not too detailed. I might do a full story time video on that particular subject, maybe. I was even abused again about 11 or 12 by my godfather. When I was abused when I was 5, 6 years old, that was terrible, just horrible. I thought I was gonna die. I felt like that was the first time I ever felt like somebody was trying to kill me. But when I was abused by my godfather, it wasn't as bad, but it was still, abuse. And so I just had this horrible outlook towards men, other men, always. And unfortunately, I still have some of that now. I just don't look at other men with the most up higher standards. I just look at other men like, you could be a possible danger to me. It's sad to say that, to still think that now at 31, but I do still feel that way sometimes. So growing up was tough. Like I said, I felt like I got taken away from my mom at such an early age as well. I want to say about 7 or 8. All 4 of us were taken away. Yeah, by the time I was 7 or 8, my brother right up under me, he was 5 or 6, and then the twins were 11 months, maybe a year. And we all got taken away from our mom at that age. And my grandmother got custody of all 4 of us. She had custody of all 4 of us for a year until their dad, the 3 younger siblings' dad, I was told, came into the picture, and he wanted to gain custody of them. Now, he had always been in their lives, but he wanted to gain custody of them. But because of what he did to me some time before, he wasn't able to be in the company of children. So his mother, which are my siblings' grandmother, was the one who stepped in for their dad, and she gained custody of them. So I was raised from 9 all the way up until like 16 by myself, without my siblings. Now, I did see them periodically. It was not even periodically, because I would say periodically was often, but seldomly I saw them. Like every blue moon I saw them. And so it was just always me. Now, my grandmother had other children in the house, but all of them at the time, my grandmother had 7 children in total, and the 3 youngest were still at home, and they were all teenagers, still in high school, in middle school and high school. And then of course eventually all of them was in high school, and then the last oldest one, he went off and did his thing. But anyway, I was the kid in the house now. and it was just me. It was just me. You know, I had my other, you know, relatives in the home, but I was the only kid in the house. So with all of that said, and just it was just a lot that went on in my life, and I can probably break it down in other story times later on in the future. But I had an uncle, rest his soul, who used to bully and torture me all the time. My uncle, he passed away when he was 24, just before he turned 25. Yeah. Anyway, he used to, that's actually him right there. That's like one of my favorite pictures of him, and I keep that right there. That's, yeah. But anyway, he used to bully and torture me a lot, and which was really strange to me, because aside the 3 children that my grandmother still had living at home, he was he's the youngest. And then there's me. So growing up, we did not get along. Rightfully so, we did not get along. I didn't like him. Let's just call a thing, a spade a spade. I did not like him. You know, I don't know why he used to always torture me and bully me and just say crazy fucked up things to me and just do, just pick at me all the time. But then he would flip around and ask me to, he would want to play with me. You know, he would come and try to play with me. He would ask me to play with him. We'll do these fun activities at home and things of that. It was very just like psychopathish. Like, it was just like, this is like kind of psycho-ish, but okay. I just went along with it. I'm like, you do this to me, but then you ask me to play with you, and I'm like, well, maybe that can bring us some sort of bonding time. And that was the only time we bonded, is when we would play with one another, and stuff like that. So fast forward some time, now I'm starting to be coming to myself, or, starting to pay attention more so. And I'm like, okay, I always had this feeling of, I always kind of known that I was unique from other people. I didn't enjoy a lot of the same things that other young dudes liked. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know what the word was, but I'm like, okay, I'm starting to form and understand that I am gay. And so growing up, I did not have somebody, although my uncle, he was gay, but I did not have somebody to show me and lead the way and say, hey, this is gay. These are some of the experiences you may come across, and these are some things you need to know about this particular lifestyle before you really step into it, so you have some sort of understanding and going forward and making your own life out of it. You probably like, Lamar, did you really rip the label off the bottle? I sure did. This company is not paying me, they're not sponsoring this video, so you damn right I ripped the label off. Well, how is it that you didn't have an influence, somebody to talk to you, someone to show you, some of the ropes, someone to perp you into, the gay lifestyle and the gay world and all of that, when you had not only had a gay uncle, but y'all lived under the same roof? And yeah, we did for a while before he moved out. Well, like I said, because we didn't get along. I didn't like him. We didn't talk about things like that, or I didn't feel comfortable enough to go to him and talk about things like that. Now, granted, he was the first person who introduced me to a gay club. He took me to a gay club when I was only like 15. He introduced me to what a gay club was at the time. He introduced me to that. He did have a lot of friends come over at the time when we lived under the same roof. He allowed me sometimes to hang out with him and his friends, but still never actually physically, taking me aside and sitting me down and talking to me. And like I said, I didn't even feel comfortable going to him about certain things and asking him certain questions, and just, really going there with him, because like I said, I just didn't really like him. By the time I started to come around to him, it was nearing the end of his life. So that really messed with me for a while. But before then, no, he and I we just did not click. I tried, but we just did not click. And like I said, when it was starting to happen, you know. But yeah, so I didn't have much exposure to gay and gay lifestyle and what that was. Honestly, I only seen one form of gay, and that was the more feminine, flamboyant, flashy, just extra and loud, and just the very colorful side of gay. And so I'm not seeing it on TV. I don't, you know, and what I was seeing on TV, it was very much like what I saw with my uncle and his friends. Just very loud and just a bit extreme and extra and very colorful, and they dress feminine, and they, you know, they wear feminine clothing and hair, and you know, it was just very flamboyant around me in person, what I saw. And what I would see on TV was the same thing in drag queen like stuff. So I, in my head, just imagined that is what gay is. So I took on that role of, well, I guess this is how I'm supposed to be, like that. I'm supposed to take on more of the, of course, I didn't understand or know these terms back then, the more feminine role. I'm supposed to, you know, have more of a woman persona than a man. I'm supposed to act a certain way. I'm supposed to look a certain way, dress a certain way, sound a certain way, walk a certain way. I'm supposed to be them, because that's all I knew, that's all I saw. Now, mind you, he had some masculine like friends. It was only 2 of them that I saw, and they were not around as often, or I didn't see them as often. But I only had this one image of what gay looks like and what gay is supposed to be, or at least what I thought I was supposed to be. And so I took on that role, and and further on thinking about it, I even thought that, okay, well, if all of them act like this and look like this, and they dress like this, they talk like this, and they're very, you know, like that and stuff, then sexually, that means they only get penetrated. You know, of course, I didn't understand all of that lingo or any knowledge of what that was back then. But of course, you know, as I got older, that's what I'm thinking, okay. Then all of these people get penetrated. But if they're getting penetrated, where are the guys who don't look like that, who's penetrating them? What does that side of gay look like? Does that even exist? Or are all gay people very extra and feminine people are, you know, on top of other feminine people, and just, you know, does it work like that? What is all of this about? None of these questions I ever asked. It was just a learning experience, and I learned so many different things as I went. The older I got, and the more I started to step into who I thought I was. So I was going through these phases. I remember going through this phase, and like I said, I didn't always look like this. I didn't always look like this. I didn't always dress like this, because I dressed like how I thought I dressed what I saw. So that's how I thought I was supposed to dress. And at some point, as I'm getting older, I'm starting to see more. I'm starting to explore. I'm starting to understand. I'm in school, of course, and I'm seeing other gay people, but every other gay person that I even saw at school emulated what I saw from my uncle and his friends. But there was one guy. He was on the dance team, and he was more on the masculine, you know, just like, like more straight boy trade. I can't stand none of those terms, but the trade like side, that's what they called him in school. And he was the only representation of he was the first representation of the other side of what gay looks like. I'm like, oh, so you would be the one that would, you'd be the kind that would actually, gotcha. That's how I looked at him. Like I said, he was on the dance team. He was the co-captain on the dance team. And just so happened, who tried out for the dance team and who made the cut? I did. And by the way, dude was fine as a motherfucker. He actually still is fine and looks pretty much exactly the same. He just has more of a grown, older look to him, but he's still fine as shit. But yeah. So he was the first representation that I saw of, okay, there is another look, there is another side, there are more levels and just different perspectives of this lifestyle. Okay, all right, there are different people that represents different sort of ways. Okay, gotcha. And so I started to think, I still was like in high school, and then even after high school, I still was just figuring out myself. And for a long time, feeling like underneath it all, wow, this is what's happening, this is what I feel like I'm supposed to be doing, but for some reason, this doesn't really actually feel like me. I'm like, I'm dressing feminine, but my actions aren't too much up like that. No, I wasn't wearing like really girly clothing or anything. I still would buy guys' clothing. It would just be more on the tighter side. It would be more on the tighter side, or I would jazz it up and make it look more feminine, if you guess. I used to wear like braids in my hair. Although I used to have actual long hair back then, but I used to like put actual yarn in my head, and yarn braids, and wear them really long, and just all different types of styles. I used to straighten my own hair a lot and did different things with it. And with all of that, of course, I was even bottoming a lot. And although I enjoyed it, I always felt like this is not me, but I didn't think I was supposed to be doing anything else. And then one sweet, beautiful day, one